When Ethan and Grace welcomed their first child, they were overjoyed. Little Caleb was quiet, observant, and strangely aware. Most babies cried, laughed, or stared at toys. Caleb watched people. Not in a cute, distracted way, but like he was studying them. Grace often joked, "He looks like an old man trapped in a baby's body." She had no idea how true that joke was. Caleb spoke early, far too early. At 9 months, he said mama. At 10 months, dada. By 12 months, he was forming sentences. One afternoon, while Ethan played with him on the living room floor, Caleb suddenly stopped, stared at Ethan's face with deep focus, and whispered, "You weren't my first daddy." Ethan laughed awkwardly. "Yeah? And who was?" Caleb blinked slowly, as if deciding whether to answer. "His name was Michael." Ethan froze. There was nobody named Michael in their family. Before he could ask more, Caleb crawled away, humming a tune they didn't recognize. Grace brushed it off. Babies say strange things. They mimic words. But in the following days, Caleb kept saying things he shouldn't know. Names. Locations. Memories. Things that made no sense. One evening, while Grace changed his clothes, Caleb pointed at a picture book and said, "My old house was red. With the big trees. And the lady who cried every night." "What lady?" Grace asked gently. Caleb shrugged. "My first mommy. She cried when I didn't wake up." Grace felt a chill. "Did you move away?" she asked softly. "No," Caleb said plainly. "I died." Grace's blood ran cold. Caleb continued casually, as if describing a cartoon. "I was sleeping, then the room got hot, and I couldn't breathe. I think that's when I left." Grace stared at him, horrified. He wasn't playing. He wasn't guessing. He was remembering. They tried to ignore it. Tried to explain it away. Kids have vivid imaginations, right? Right? But Caleb's details became more specific. One day at breakfast, with a mouthful of cereal, he mumbled, "We lived in Hartwell. On Miller Street." Ethan froze. Hartwell was a real town 2 hours away. "How do you know that?" Ethan asked. Caleb shrugged. "That's where I lived before. Before I became small again." The parents exchanged a terrified glance. That night, when Caleb was asleep, they searched online. Hartwell, Miller Street, red house. And there it was. A news article from 10 years earlier. The house was red. The boy was named Michael. He died in a fire. Grace covered her mouth with both hands and burst into tears. Everything Caleb had said matched. Everything. They didn't want to go. They didn't want to believe it was true. But curiosity mixed with fear is a powerful force. One weekend, they drove to Hartwell. As they entered the neighborhood, Caleb suddenly sat up in his car seat and pointed excitedly. "Here. Here. Turn left. Daddy, turn left." Ethan's hands trembled on the steering wheel. Caleb guided them with perfect accuracy straight to Miller Street. Straight to the red house. Except now it was abandoned. Burned. Blackened. Boarded up. Caleb stared at it silently. Then he whispered, "That window, that's where I died." Tears streamed down Grace's face. But then things got stranger. A woman walked out of the neighboring house, early 40s, tired eyes, a faded sadness on her face. Caleb gasped. He reached out toward her with tiny trembling hands. "Mommy." Grace and Ethan froze. The woman looked over, confused. Then her eyes widened like she had seen a ghost. She walked slowly toward them. Do I know you?" she asked Caleb softly. Caleb nodded. He whispered, "You cried when I didn't wake up." The woman collapsed into tears. Because those were the exact words she had spoken to her dead son's ashes 10 years ago. Over the next weeks, strange things began happening. Caleb started waking up at 3 a.m. every night. Sometimes screaming. Sometimes whispering. One night, he whispered into the darkness. "She's coming for me." Grace jumped from her bed. "Who? Who's coming?" she asked. Caleb looked at her with terrified eyes she had never seen on a child. "The woman from the fire." Grace's heart dropped. "What woman?" Caleb hugged her tightly. "The one who made the fire." Ethan felt his blood go cold. Michael's accident had never been fully explained. Some neighbors said they saw a shadowy figure running from the house. The case was closed as an accident. But what if it wasn't? One stormy night, the power went out. Wind howled. Rain slammed against the windows. Caleb woke screaming. Ethan rushed in and froze. Caleb was pointing at the open doorway. "She's here," he sobbed. Grace grabbed him, shaking. "Who? Who is here?" Lightning flashed. And in that split second, all three of them saw it. A woman's silhouette in the hallway. Standing still. Watching them. Then darkness. Ethan grabbed a flashlight and ran to the hallway. Empty. There was no woman. No footsteps. No open door. But on the floor, a wet footprint. A woman's footprint. The next day, police reopened the old case of Michael Harris. Investigators discovered new evidence. A jealous neighbor, a woman, had admitted on her deathbed that she set the fire out of spite toward the family. She died 3 days before the stormy night. The same night Caleb said, "She's coming for me." The same night her silhouette appeared in the hallway. The same night her footprint was left behind. Caleb never mentioned her again. As if her presence was finally gone. Caleb grew older. The memories faded. The details softened. Eventually, he stopped talking about his first life. But sometimes, on quiet nights, he would hum that same strange tune he hummed as a baby. The tune Michael used to sing according to his mother. Grace would watch him and wonder. Was Caleb a miracle? A mystery? A second chance at life? She didn't know. But she knew one thing. Not every death is the end. Some souls find their way back. Especially those with unfinished stories.